Many months ago, before Amelia became a wife and started rolling her eyes at the sound of "What are we eating today?", she was just a 26-year-old single woman in Maputo who believed that cooking was a weapon of mass attraction. If there was one thing she learned from her older cousins, it was that men who eat your food too often eventually start imagining you in a white dress. However, Amelia didn't even consider herself a kitchen princess at first. She wasn't one of those girls who learned how to peel cassava with her eyes closed or fry fish without dodging hot oil like bullets. But when she met Matthews, everything changed. Matthews wasn't the kind of man you could attract with just makeup and selfies. This man loved food the way some men loved football. His face would light up at the sight of a steaming plate of matsapa, the way ladies smile when they see a new car. He was 32 and his life was as steady as a tree planted near a river. He worked as a project manager and came home every day covered in the dust of construction sites, looking like a man who needed both a bath and a hot meal. And Amelia, with her sharp mind, thought, this one, if I cook for him, he will never escape. So, she launched her plan one Saturday. Amelia invited Matthews over, pretending it was just a casual lunch. But what she prepared was far from casual. She spent the entire morning sweating in her tiny kitchen, pounding garlic, grinding peanuts, slicing vegetables, and muttering under her breath, "This man must propose after tasting this matsapa." By the time Matthews arrived, the whole apartment smelled like paradise. He stepped in and paused, twitching his nose. "Is that grilled chicken?" he asked. Amelia smiled like a queen. "And matsapa? I used fresh cassava leaves, just the way our mothers make it." Matthews sat down, took one bite, and his eyes closed as if he was in a trance. "My God, this is not food. This is love in a pot." Amelia laughed, but inside she was dancing. Got him? And so, from that day, Matthews became a frequent visitor. It was almost suspicious how busy he claimed to be at work. Yet, he still managed to appear at her door exactly around lunchtime. And Amelia, being the master strategist she was, kept raising the stakes. One day, she made coconut rice with piri-piri fish. It was so delicious that Matthews licked his fingers. Another day, it was gingerbread porridge with roasted peanuts and honey. She didn't even let him clear the plate. She just wanted him to associate her with comfort, flavor, and zero stress. "You are spoiling me," Matthews once said as he leaned back on the chair and patted his stomach. Amelia tilted her head and smiled sweetly. "Is that a complaint?" "Never. If you keep cooking like this, I might just marry you tomorrow," he joked. Amelia's heart jumped, but she pretended to laugh. "Be careful what you promise. I might hold you to it." Moving on, Matthews began to brag about Amelia to his friends. "This one is not like those modern girls who are always eating chips and soda. She knows how to cook fresh food every day. She's a wife material, I'm telling you." However, while Amelia enjoyed cooking those meals, she knew deep down that cooking every day, every single day, was not sustainable. There were some nights she just wanted to order pizza and sleep without washing a mountain of dishes. But Matthew's happiness was like a reward, so she kept pushing. She would tell her friends, "This cooking thing is exhausting, but if it means locking him down, let me keep going. After marriage, we'll find another plan." And her friend would laugh and say, "Amelia, you are playing with fire. Don't start what you can't finish." Well, by the time Matthews officially asked her to be his girlfriend, he was already half in love with her kitchen. He sat at her table one evening watching her stir the pots, and he said, "This reminds me of my mother. She used to say, 'A woman who cooks with love will keep her family together.' I think you are that kind of woman, Amelia." Amelia smiled and leaned over the pot, but inside, she thought, If only he knew how many YouTube videos I watched just to perfect this stew. As a result, when Matthews decided to propose, it wasn't a sudden decision. It was the logical conclusion of many plates of perfectly seasoned matsapa, grilled chicken that tasted like heaven, and coconut rice that could win cooking competitions. One Friday evening, he sat at Amelia's dining table watching her fry fish, and the smell was so good that he nearly cried. He told himself, if I don't propose now, some other man will come, eat the same fish and steal her away. So he cleared his throat. Amelia, yes, love, she replied and turned to face him. Do you know you are the best cook I have ever met? She laughed. Matthew, stop it. You say that every week. I'm serious, he said. Every time I eat your food, I feel like I'm home. I want to feel like that forever. Please marry me. Amelia froze. What did you just say? I said, marry me, Matthews repeated and pulled a ring from his pocket like a magician pulling a rabbit out of a hat. For a few seconds, Amelia just stared and thought hard. Of course, she wanted this. She wanted the ring, the security and the love. But a tiny voice in her head whispered, so now you have to keep cooking forever. But she ignored that voice and smiled. Matthews, yes, I'll marry you. The news of their engagement spread faster than gossip in a hair salon. Families gathered for introductions and Matthew's family couldn't stop praising her. Matthew's mother tasted her matsapa and nearly fainted with joy. This girl is a blessing. I see why my son is glowing like new money. Amelia, you are a true wife. I can already tell that you will cook fresh food every day and keep my son healthy. Amelia laughed politely, but deep inside her, she thought, every day, did I sign a contract somewhere? Even Matthew's sister Lydia, who was normally skeptical of any woman her brother dated, was impressed. You know, Amelia, women like you are rare. Not many young ladies can make food that tastes like home these days. You've raised the bar too high. I hope you are ready for the marathon. Amelia smiled again, pretending to be flattered while mentally screaming, marathon? Who is running a marathon, please? The wedding preparations went into full swing. The Lobola negotiations were a drama of their own, with uncles arguing over how many goats were appropriate to show respect, while Matthew's father proudly said, for a woman who cooks like this, even 10 goats are cheap. Everyone laughed, but Amelia felt like she had been reduced to a matsapa machine. Her friends teased her endlessly. You better continue this cooking after marriage, oh. Amelia rolled her eyes. Please, after the ring is on my finger, I will relax. I'm not a restaurant. But even as she said it, she knew the trap she had set for herself. Matthews had fallen in love with the image of her as a fresh food everyday kind of wife, and she wasn't sure how to explain that she was only human and not a stove with legs. On the wedding day, everything was beautiful, but the speech was even more beautiful. Everyone who gave a speech mentioned Amelia's cooking. Matthew's uncle held the microphone and said, Matthews, you are a lucky man. This woman will feed you well. No man ever leaves home when the pot is always full. That night, after the music ended and they were alone, Matthews held her hand and smiled. I can't wait to build a life with you, a home with love, laughter, and always fresh food, just like you've always given me. Amelia smiled, kissed him, and said, of course, love. But inside her, she said to herself, we'll see. I'll cook sometimes, but every day, we'll see about that. The first few weeks of marriage were sweet like fresh honey. Amelia cooked every day, not because she still enjoyed it, but because the honeymoon glow was still there. And Matthew's happy, grateful smile was worth the effort. Every evening, he would come home, remove his dusty boots from the construction site, and say with a grin, what's cooking, my queen? and Amelia, with her apron tied like a domestic goddess, would present him with plates of fragrant coconut rice, spicy grilled fish, or creamy peanut stew. Matthews would eat like a king, lick his fingers, and then lean back on the chair and sigh. "This is why I married you. You are not just a wife, you are my home." Amelia would smile sweetly, but inside her mind, she was thinking, "Home or not, I am getting tired of standing in the kitchen as if I am in a war front." And then one Wednesday, it happened. Amelia had spent the entire day working on a big presentation for her office, and by the time she got home, she was so tired that she felt like her bones were melting. The thought of chopping onions made her want to cry, so she opened the fridge, saw some leftover matapa from 2 days ago, and thought, why not? Food is food. She reheated it, made a quick salad, and sat down just as Matthews walked in. "What's cooking, my queen?" he asked and kissed her cheek. "Matapa," she replied casually. "Again?" Matthews raised an eyebrow. "Didn't we eat that on Monday?" "Yes, but it's still good," she smiled. "Leftovers are even better the next day. They have character." Matthews frowned, but he didn't say much. He ate quietly, but later that night, as they lay in bed, he muttered, "I hope tomorrow we'll have something fresh. I really like your fresh food." Amelia, who was already half asleep, mumbled, "We'll see." The next week, Amelia had a very bad day at work and decided she deserved a break. She ordered takeout, grilled chicken and chips, and she set the table thinking Matthews wouldn't mind as long as there was food. However, when Matthews came home and saw the plastic containers on the table, he stopped at the door as if he had just witnessed a crime scene. "Amelia, what is this?" "Food," Amelia said flatly and sipped her juice. "This is not food. This is betrayal," he said dramatically, holding up a chip as if it was evidence. "My wife, the woman who made me fall in love with Matsapa, has reduced me to take away chicken." Amelia laughed so hard that she nearly choked on her drink. "Matthews, stop being dramatic. It's just one day." "One day," he said, holding his chest like a man whose heart had been broken. "This is how it starts. First, chips, and then we'll graduate to noodles. I didn't marry for fast food, Amelia." As if the situation wasn't bad enough, Matthew's sister Lydia came visiting that weekend. She opened the fridge, saw nothing but cold drinks and leftover takeouts, and she raised her eyebrow so high that it could have flown off her face. "Amelia, what happened? This is not the same woman who used to cook like a professional chef when she was dating my brother." Amelia forced a smile. "I'm just adjusting to marriage life." Lydia smirked. "Adjust well, oh, because my brother loves food more than he loves football." Unfortunately, the situation got worse one Friday night when Matthews came home expecting a feast after a long week, but all he found was bread and tea on the table. He blinked and looked at the table as if it had betrayed him. "Amelia, what is this?" "Dinner," she replied while sipping her tea calmly. "Dinner? This is what I eat when I'm broke, not when I'm married." "Then go marry a restaurant," she shot back and slammed her cup down. Matthews froze. His eyes widened as he was clearly not used to such fire. "What did you say?" "You heard me, Matthews. I am not your personal chef, Matthews. I work too. I can't cook fresh food every single day like a robot." After the bread and tea disaster, Matthews felt like a man under attack. The once magical kitchen that made him feel like a king had now turned into a battlefield, and he couldn't stop thinking about how things had changed. To make matters worse, his sister Lydia decided to pay another friendly visit just when things were really heating up. Lydia was the type of sister who believed that her brother's happiness was her personal responsibility. So, when Matthews casually mentioned during a phone call, Things are not like before. I miss fresh food. Lydia took it upon herself to show up on Saturday morning, armed with judgment and a sharp tongue. The moment she stepped into the kitchen and saw a bowl of leftover noodles sitting on the counter, she screamed so loudly that Amelia nearly dropped the spoon in her hand. "What is this?" Lydia asked. She picked up the bowl and stared at it as if it were some evidence of a serious crime. "Noodles," Amelia replied. "Noodles? From Matthews, my brother? The same man who used to eat home-cooked coconut fish twice a week when you were dating him? This is what marriage has turned into now?" Amelia's face tightened, but she forced a smile. "Lydia, I work too. I can't cook as if I'm running a restaurant every day." Lydia shook her head dramatically. "My dear, you started it. Nobody forced you to serve him matzapa every day when you were trying to win his heart. You showed him fire, and now he expects fireworks. This is why I tell women every time, don't start what you cannot finish." Matthews, who had been eavesdropping from the living room, stepped in like a man trying to defend his honor. "Amelia, it is not about running a restaurant. It is about love. You know I like fresh food. You knew it when we started dating." Amelia lost it at this point. "Matthews, please, don't start. I am tired. Fresh food every day? What am I, a chef at a 5-star hotel?" Lydia cut in. "Well, this is marriage. A man needs to feel cared for, especially through his stomach." Amelia turned to face Lydia. "And what about my stomach? Who cooks for me?" Matthew blinked. "This is not about you. It is about us." "No, Matthews," Amelia snapped. "It is about your unrealistic stomach that thinks it married my matzapa and not me." Later that evening, Lydia pulled Amelia aside with a sly smile. "Look, I know you are tired, but you need to know that men love consistency. My advice for you is to find a trick. Make different big pots of food and just keep warming it. He doesn't need to know it's the same thing." Amelia raised an eyebrow. "So I should deceive him?" Lydia shrugged. "It is better than feeding him noodles. Do you know the kind of family you married into? My brother thinks a woman who doesn't cook is a disaster waiting to happen." Amelia didn't reply, but that night, while lying in bed, she stared at the ceiling and thought, "I am not a robot, but if I don't find a plan, this food drama will destroy my marriage before it even starts." The next day, Amelia went to visit her friend Rosa, who was dramatic and believed in living life on her own terms. "Girl, forget that man's stomach," Rosa said. "Do you think I cook for Polo every day? Never. He eats what he sees. Sometimes I even make him eat cereal for dinner. You need to stop spoiling Matthews. Show him you are not a kitchen slave." Amelia laughed but shook her head. "Rosa, this man is obsessed with fresh food. If I try that, he will pack his bags and go live with his mother. Then let him go." Is it food that is marrying you or Matthews?" Rosa exclaimed dramatically. Well, the conversation only made Amelia feel more conflicted. She wanted to please her husband, but she also wanted to keep her sanity. That evening, Matthews came home expecting his usual warm welcome, but Amelia, who was still annoyed by Rosa's advice, served him plain bread and tea again, this time without even pretending it was a proper meal. Matthews stared at the table, then at her, then at the table again. "Amelia, are we rehearsing poverty?" he asked. "If you don't want bread, go and cook. The kitchen is open," Amelia shot back. The silence that followed was so thick that even the bread felt awkward. By now, the tension in the house was no longer something that could be ignored. Every time Matthews walked through the front door, his eyes would move to the kitchen like a man checking if his kingdom was still in order. And every time Amelia saw that look, her blood pressure would spike. It felt as though her worth had been reduced to whether or not there was a steaming pot of matzapa waiting for him. But the real fire began on a Sunday evening. It had been a lazy day for Amelia. She decided to take a break from cooking and spent the afternoon binge watching telenovelas while eating leftover chips. The kitchen was empty and the sink was piled with dishes from the night before, but she had no intention of lifting a finger. Then, around 5 p.m., she heard a loud knock at the door. "Amelia, Matthews, it's me." Amelia froze. It was Donna Isabel, her mother-in-law, the one person she did not want to see her kitchen looking like a construction site after a storm. She scrambled to the door. Why today of all days? When she opened the door, Donna Isabel stood there with a big smile and 2 baskets of fresh vegetables. "Surprise! I came to visit and bring some fresh produce." I said, "Let me come and see how my new daughter-in-law is running the home." Amelia's soul nearly left her body. Within 5 minutes, Donna Isabel was already in the kitchen singing as she unpacked the vegetables. But her song stopped abruptly when she saw the state of the place. She rubbed her eyes and looked at the messy sink and the empty kitchen. "Amelia, where is the food?" Amelia smiled nervously. "Mama, I was just about to start cooking." "Start cooking? At 5 p.m. on a Sunday? What has my son been eating all day?" Before Amelia could answer, Matthews walked in and greeted his mother. But the smile on his face vanished when she shot him a look that could curdle milk. "Matthews, when I left you in this woman's hands, I thought you would be eating fresh meals every day. Is this what you are eating? Cold chips and dirty plates?" Matthews opened his mouth to defend Amelia, but the words didn't come fast enough. Donna Isabel shook her head and muttered something under her breath about modern girls who don't know how to keep a home. Amelia heard it and swallowed hard. "Mama, I'm not lazy. I work just like Matthews does. And I'm not going to cook every single day just because I'm married. I am not a cooking robot." Now, Matthews was caught between his mother and his wife, like a man watching 2 storms collide. He tried to intervene, but Amelia wasn't done. "Everyone keeps acting as if my only purpose here is to stand over a pot and stove. What about me? What about my own life?" Donna Isabel looked stunned. "Matthews, do you hear your wife? When you were dating her, did she not cook fresh food every day?" Matthews sighed. "She did, oh mama." "Then what changed?" "You see, this is what I feared. She was only pretending." Amelia couldn't believe her ears. "Pretending? Mama, do you know how many hours I spent sweating over pots just to impress this man? I cooked like my life depended on it. But now I'm tired. I can't keep this up every day." That night, after Donna Isabel left, Matthews and Amelia had their first real argument. "Amelia, you embarrassed me in front of my mother," Matthews said. "Embarrassed you? Matthews, I am embarrassed every day when you look at me as if I am failing just because there is no fresh soup on the stove. I did not marry you for fast food," though, Matthews shot. "And I didn't marry you to become a kitchen slave also." They looked at each other as if they were going to swallow themselves. And that night, neither of them slept well. The morning after their explosive argument, the house was as silent as a graveyard. Matthews woke up early, dressed for work, and left without saying much. He didn't even ask for breakfast, which was unusual of him. Amelia lay in her bed, staring at the ceiling, feeling both angry and guilty. She hadn't meant to embarrass him in front of his mother, but she was tired of being expected to cook every single day, as if marriage came with a food timetable. By the 3rd day, it became obvious that Matthews had taken a stand in his own way. He started eating everywhere but at home. When Amelia asked what he had for lunch, he would casually reply, "Oh, I stopped by Lydia's place. She made chicken stew. Very nice, by the way." He said it with the kind of exaggeration that made Amelia's blood boil. Amelia decided she wasn't going to chase him. If he wanted to eat elsewhere, fine. She would also take care of herself. And so, that week, she ordered takeout almost every night and enjoyed the freedom of not sweating in the kitchen. One evening, Matthews came home and sniffed the air. He frowned. "What is that smell?" "Fried fish," Amelia said sweetly. "Fried fish? From where?" "From Rosa's kitchen. She sent me some." Matthew's face changed instantly. "You went to Rosa's house?" No, she brought it here. What is wrong with that? Matthews folded his arms. That girl, Rosa, that girl that doesn't respect marriage. You better not start learning her ways. Amelia burst out laughing. Oh, so when you eat Lydia's food, it's okay. But when Rosa sends me fish, it's a problem. The next day, Rosa visited and found Amelia sulking on the couch. What's wrong now? Rosa asked. It's Matthews, Amelia said. He's punishing me by eating his sister's food every day. Imagine, as if I am begging him to eat here. Rosa rolled her eyes. Girl, you need to stand your ground. Let him eat wherever he wants. In fact, invite me over tomorrow. We will both eat pizza in front of him. Rosa, do you want to start a war in my house? Amelia asked. War? No, this is strategy. Men need to see that you have options. You are not their chef. And so, Amelia stopped cooking altogether. She ate out with Rosa, who happily documented their meals on social media, tagging Amelia with captions like, "Modern wives know their worth." Matthew saw one of the posts and nearly choked on his lunch. He called Amelia immediately. Amelia, you are out there eating shrimp while I am here eating dry rice from the cafeteria, he shouted over the phone. Amelia laughed. Well, you chose to eat at the cafeteria, didn't you? Enjoy your rice in peace, husband. Unfortunately, the situation didn't get any better. Now, they barely spoke to each other except for the occasional polite, "Pass me the soap," that sounded more like, "I don't want to see your face." Matthews began coming home late, claiming work was keeping him busy, while Amelia pretended not to care, even though she kept checking the door whenever the clock struck 8 p.m. They continued this way until the day Amelia's mother, Mama Teresa, decided to pay a visit. The moment the woman walked into the house and saw the frozen atmosphere, she knew something was wrong. She faced them and asked, "What is this silence? Did someone die here, or are you two practicing for a horror movie?" Neither Matthews nor Amelia answered her. They just exchanged awkward glances like two children caught stealing cookies. Mama Teresa shook her head. "Matthews, you are looking thinner. Is Amelia not feeding you? Or are you now eating like a bachelor who survives on bread and tea?" Matthews opened his mouth to answer, but Amelia caught him sharply. "Mama, don't start. He's the one acting like the kitchen is the entire marriage contract." Matthews snapped. "Mama, I married a woman who used to cook me heaven on a plate, but now she's giving me noodles and cold bread." Mama Teresa turned to her daughter suspiciously. "Amelia, my daughter, is this true? Did you bribe this man into marriage with matzapa and then switch to Takeout?" Amelia threw her hands up. "Mama, I am tired. Cooking every single day is too much. I have a job. I have my own life, and I am not a cooking machine." Mama Teresa sat down like a judge in court and said, "Both of you sit." They obeyed and sat like guilty students. "Now listen to me," she began. "Amelia, you can't start a relationship with fire and then decide to give him smoke. You cooked your way into this man's heart, and now you want to retire from the kitchen like an old soldier. That is not fair." Amelia pouted. "Mama, but I can't." "No, listen to me," Mama Teresa declared. "Marriage is not about pretending. If you knew you didn't want to cook every day, you should have shown him your real self from day one. Now, the poor man thinks you turned into a new person overnight." Matthews tried not to smile, but he failed. "Thank you, Mama. I have been saying this, oh." Mama Teresa turned sharply to him. "Don't think you are innocent, Matthews. You also need to grow up. Your wife is not your mother. You are a grown man. You have two hands. Can't you make yourself food once in a while? If marriage was just about fresh meals, then you should have married a restaurant instead." Matthews froze. "Mama, a restaurant?" "Yes, a restaurant that opens every day, 24/7, she said, rolling her eyes. That evening, after Mama Teresa left them with enough wisdom to fill a book, Amelia and Matthew sat down quietly in the living room and had a long overdue conversation. Amelia Amelia began, Matthews, I love you, but I can't keep cooking like I did when we were dating. I did it to impress you, yes, but now I need balance. I can't come home tired from work and still be expected to cook every day. Matthew sighed, Amelia, I am not asking for 5-star meals. I just want to feel cared for. When you used to cook, it wasn't just about the food. It was about how much love I felt in every plate. Amelia looked at him and her face softened. I don't care. I just don't want to feel like my worth is tied to pots and pans. I am your wife, not your chef. Matthew smiled and reached for her hand. Okay, what if we compromise? You don't have to cook every day. Maybe 3 or 4 times a week. The rest of the time, we can eat out or I can cook. But please, let me still taste your matapa once in a while. That's what made me fall in love with you. Amelia laughed. Deal, but don't ever compare me to your mother again. I am not Mama Isabel. And just with the little but powerful conversation, peace returned to their house again. Amelia cooked twice that week and Matthews cooked once, even though it ended up worse than tragedy. They ordered takeout the rest of the time. It was not perfect, but it worked. One evening, as they sat at the table eating a delicious plate of coconut rice Amelia had prepared, Matthews smiled and said, you know, they say don't start what you cannot finish, but I am glad we found a way to finish this together. Amelia rolled her eyes and threw a piece of bread at him. Just eat your food and don't start drama again. Thank you for watching the story. Kindly share your thoughts about the story with me in the comment section. What lessons did you learn from the story? Kindly share the story out with your loved ones and give the story a thumbs up. Subscribe to this channel if you've not done so by now. Until I bring another story your way. Bye!